Look at this plant. The leaves are crispy and browning at the edges, and the instinctive reaction is to just add more water. But brown tips are the most misdiagnosed plant symptom out there, and simply watering more or watering less is usually the exact wrong response. To actually solve this, we are going to look at the specific pattern of the browning to diagnose the true environmental cause. Then we will apply a targeted fix and perform a quick cosmetic trim to clean up the damage. We need to be clear about one thing up front. Dead brown tissue does not heal. Once a leaf tip is gone, it is gone. Our objective is to protect all future growth while making the plant look healthy again today. Achieving permanent health means putting down the watering can and turning our attention to the environmental environment surrounding the leaves and the roots. Step 1 begins before we even look at the leaves. We have to examine the soil to rule out baseline structural issues inside the pot. This image shows a classic sign of fertilizer burn, a thick white mineral crust building up along the rim and the top of the soil. In a sealed pot, excess mineral salts from fertilizer accumulate over time. When the concentration gets too high, it actually reverses osmosis, pulling water out of the root system and dehydrating the plant from the inside out. To fix this, slowly pour large volumes of plain water through the soil 3 or 4 times, letting it drain completely each time. Going forward, cut your standard fertilizer dose in half. Next, check the drainage holes. If dense roots are escaping the bottom and the soil dries out almost instantly after you water, your plant is root-bound. The root mass has grown too large for the pot, absorbing all the moisture immediately and leaving no reserve for the leaves. When soil completely dries out, it becomes water repellent, or hydrophobic. Notice how water runs straight down the gap between the shrunken soil and pot wall. It entirely bypasses the central root mass. The plant looks watered, but roots remain bone dry. To rehydrate hydrophobic soil, switch to bottom watering. Place the pot in a tray of water for 20 to 30 minutes and let the soil absorb moisture upward. Once your soil passes these physical checks, you know the root system has access to water. That proves the real issue is happening above the soil line, in the surrounding air. Step 2 is reading the leaves. We'll look at the 4 major environmental causes, starting with the 2 that are most frequently confused for one another. If the oldest leaves on your plant have crispy tips starting at the very edge, with a sharp, clean transition from healthy green directly into dead brown, you are dealing with low humidity. This animation shows the biological mechanism at work. The leaf tip is furthest from the vascular system. When air is dry, moisture evaporates from those tips faster than roots pump replacement water up the stem. The tip loses all moisture, and the cells die. You can solve this by grouping your plants together so they share the moisture they release naturally, or by placing the pot on a water-filled pebble tray for localized evaporation. Do not use a spray bottle to mist the leaves. The water droplets evaporate within minutes, doing nothing to change the actual humidity of the room. It leaves the plant damp, creating an ideal surface for fungal diseases. Now, look at this comparison. On the left is the clean transition of humidity damage. On the right, notice the distinct yellow-brown halo separating green tissue from the dead tip. That yellow halo on sensitive tropical plants is the signature of fluoride toxicity from tap water. To stop fluoride damage, switch to rainwater or filtered water. Leaving tap water in an open container overnight will off-gas chlorine, but the heavy fluoride remains in the water and will continue accumulating in the leaves. Spotting the difference between a clean boundary and a yellow halo is the single most valuable diagnostic scale you can develop for keeping your tropical plants healthy. There are 2 physical forces in a room that also cause browning. First, if the damage develops rapidly and is heavily concentrated on the side of the plant facing an air conditioning or heating vent, it is caused by a dry draft. Moving air strips moisture off a leaf's surface exponentially faster than still air. Even if the ambient humidity in your room is mathematically fine, a continuous breeze will dry out the plant before it can defend itself. The final cause is cold contact. Instead of a uniform brown edge, you will see specific, isolated brown patches. This happens exactly at the spot where a leaf physically touches freezing window glass during the winter. Securing a safe microclimate by keeping your plant in still air and safely away from cold surfaces is just as critical to its survival as managing its watering schedule. Step 3 is the cosmetic heal. Now that we have diagnosed the environment, we can apply an immediate physical intervention to make the plant look good right now. Watch how this is done. Take clean scissors and trim away the dead brown tissue at a slight angle. The goal is to mimic the natural contour of the leaf as you pet. Avoid the common mistake of chopping straight horizontally across the tip. A blunt, flat edge looks completely unnatural and instantly draws the eye right back to the damage you were trying to hide. This simple trim removes the visual frustration of a sick plant. It gives you a clean slate, buying time for your new environmental adjustments to support healthy growth. Here is the final result. The plant is correctly shaped, placed on a pebble tray for localized humidity, and moved safely away from the floor dent. While the trim provides immediate satisfaction today, the real proof of your diagnosis will come in a few weeks. When the next new leaf unfurls completely green and free of any brown edges, you will know the problem is solved. If you are looking at your plant right now and still aren't entirely sure which pattern matches your leaves, describe the plant and the browning in the comments below, and I will help you diagnose it. Plant care does not require blind guessing or panic watering. By learning to read these specific visual patterns, you can turn a frustrating mystery into predictable, actionable science.